Welcome, Campbell. Welcome, everyone, to the Stanley Street Social Unpack of Stage 11 of the Tour de France. We're here 5 p.m. live each day on the Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. But I don't know if you can really count Twitch because no one's ever watched it on Twitch. Maybe it's only for the gamers. I think our only follower is you, Campbell. So I don't know if I'm going to even include the Twitch, but we're going live there anyway for anyone that wants to join in. Good stage for the Australians and the Stanley Street Social last night, Campbell.
Yeah, just before we get to that, a little bit of housekeeping off the top. Apologies for my perhaps lagging camera. My computer can't really handle the two USB inputs. I'm already running an adapter and I can't run power. So apologies for that. For the stage, yeah, it was a good stage for Australia. I'm guessing it was a late finish. I went to bed at about 12 o'clock and there was still heaps of Ks left. But I guess we can't blame the peloton for having a semi day off.
Now, so it's been a grippy tour all round. I think it had bunch kick written all over it. As soon as there was no wind, sign yourself up for a sprint finish, and we saw the best of the best go at it in maybe one of the best finals, and we saw four guys throwing to the line, all possible victors. Pretty cool.
What was the FDJ guy? Ledenu?
Yeah. Something like that.
I mean, as soon as he went off by himself and no one went with him, kind of set the tone for the day. But we did see a little bit of a sort of a counter move. Nason, Postelberger, Stuyven, and Kung went after him.
Which was deemed awfully dangerous by the bunch real quick.
It was big time. I mean, if Lotto Soudal and Quickstep had to let them get out to 3 or 4 minutes, I don't think they would have seen that group again. So they saw that danger quickly and invested a lot to shut it down, but it was either do it quick or be chasing for 150 Ks and probably not get them. So that created a little bit of excitement, but as soon as those 5 or 6 came back, I think it was pretty clear that they weren't going to let anyone go. So I guess we got the bunch kick that we were expecting, and it was mighty exciting. They always are on those slow days because everyone gets to the finish relatively fresh. Everyone thinks they're a half a chance, and you see a little bit of chaos.
It was chaos, but I think we saw the cream rise to the top, and the 4 quickest guys in the bike race were going head to head for the victory. Not without drama though. P. Sagan relegated after moving Wout van Aert out of the way to access the finish line.
Yeah, he's pretty erratic, isn't he, Sagan?
Yeah.
He's pretty erratic generally.
Do you think he's more erratic this tour?
I'm not too sure. I haven't seen. I'd have to go back and look at bunch kicks from previous years or field sprints from previous years. But maybe the extra erraticness, if that's a word, is also in line with his greater desperation. What are we?
I remember
he hasn't had a win all year. He's going to be starting to get a little bit erratic and a little bit desperate.
I think it was maybe when we did the Tour Down Unpack with Caleb at the start of the year. It was him or someone around that time was talking about, we were talking about moving through the bunch and how hard it is sometimes and how easy it is at other times. And one point was that it was there's so much dependency on who it is. So if it's we're talking about the national team and them kind of getting hung out the back and no one letting them in and whatnot. And then the comparison was, if it's Peter Sagan there, it's like you just get out of the way because if you're not getting out of the way, you're getting moved out of the way.
Yep.
Maybe he's lost a little bit of that status. He has to fight for it a bit more.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, with results comes respect. And I don't think he's people have forgotten about his results. He's won 12 stages of the Tour de France in the past, but he's probably not as invincible as he once was. So perhaps that little bit of extra respect that he did have, he doesn't have anymore, and he kind of has to fight, and he has to be a little bit more wild in the bunch. And it was a couple of sprints ago, I can't remember which one it was, but he went from right to left, just like chopping up. If there had been people to his left, he would have brought down the whole bunch. Luckily, there wasn't. And then last night, he was front and center in some controversy again.
Even not to the example of like pushing around, but there was that sprint too, where the Caleb one, where he went real early, in the sense that it was still a little bit panicky, a little bit like, let's get into this. Yeah. Anyway, last night, Sagan was on the barrier. Should we roll the footage? Should we roll the tape?
Yeah, roll the tape. You're breaking up a little bit visually. Hopefully that's just a little blip. We've both got 90 down, so it should be able to hold up.
Thanks to our unofficial partners, TPG. See that?
Yep. Look at that. You've even got it queued to where you want it.
Yeah.
That's
where we want. This is the overhead.
That's prep.
Notably, like when we did in our podcast with Caleb, we start the footage and the winner of the stage isn't even in the picture.
Yep. Again. And just before we roll that footage, I'm not sure how far this is to go, but Wout van Aert must have sprinted. He must have hit out from about 350, and they only just got around him after doing work for Roglic in the run-in.
Yeah, a key point there. And also, watch his sprint. Like, he's so tight and like controlled and fluid, and doesn't even when Sagan throws a hip and shoulder in him, he hardly even budges.
He's amazing to watch, especially in the mountains as well. Just the way he pedals is just so smooth, and like you said, his sprint, he shows calmness and quality as well when he's sprinting full gas.
Roll the tape.
Yeah, right. Are you just going to play it all, or are you going to break it up?
Let me know if you want to. Let me know if you want to pause.
Mate, you're running the show here.
Let's cut the noise. So you see here, Sagan is genuinely boxed in. Also, Caleb Ewan's still not in the picture. So he's got two options here, and he takes to go right. Oh, he doesn't, does he? I don't.
Who's Sagan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he's kind of so his overlaps is so tight on Bennett's right hip that it's almost like to go this way, he'd have to back off so much.
Yeah, he's pretty much stuck there. And if you roll the tape, it does look kind of open at one point, to be fair.
Stuck here.
So there's a genuine gap there right now.
There's a line of sight. There's a rider fit through there.
You got to remember though. I mean, maybe Caleb could squeeze through there, but Peter Sagan, he's a big boy. There's a little bit more mass to squeeze through that gap. But looking there, if you were to say, if you didn't know the sprint, you're like, does he get through that gap? Does he not? You'd probably say, yeah, he gets through there without causing any problems. Maybe it tightens up a little bit as you roll the tape forward, but right there, it doesn't look like it's a really, really small gap.
I also think too, if you see that gap and you don't take it, you're not the best sprinter in the world. You're not going up against the best in the world.
I concur. Yeah.
Like, as soon as you lose that mentality of I'm going to do anything to get to the victory here, like, it's all over.
Yeah.
You become a second tier field sprinter.
Also worth noting just where Caleb Ewan is. He's right at the bottom of the screen there.
He's only started to feature.
Yeah, on the wheel of Sam Bennett there.
This is where it gets a bit tight.
Okay, rewind it. Go back to where Sagan actually elbows Van Aert. That is, he's actually worried about clipping a spectator's hand. that's why he's coming so far left, because there's like looking at the barrier and where Van Aert is, there's a bit of room there. You can understand why he doesn't want to get clipped by a spectator's hand. But then if you continue to roll it, look how much it puts Van Aert off his line. And if it's any other rider, look at that. That's like, that's like a good, almost a meter. If it's any other rider, they're possibly going down and causing big time carnage.
If it was me or you, Campbell, we'd be over the left-hand fence.
If it was you or I, we wouldn't even be there.
Yeah, but say we were somehow placed in that position, and Peter Sagan leaned into you like he's just done there. Would Van Aert makes it look like a love tap? We would have been over the left-hand fence.
Yeah, I think that's gone a little bit. I've heard some people bring it up, but Van Aert made that look very, very minimal. That contact, doing 60 km an hour, and someone's elbow comes into your stomach, and you just kind of, you just make it look like it's a little tap. That was mighty impressive from Van Aert to keep his cool and to continue sprinting as well.
Mm.
If it was like a Spanish or a French rider, they would have just like arms up. Nah, you can't.
Yeah. And
that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Look at that.
Yeah.
But also, so Wout van Aert has been riding all day, or not all day, but he's been doing the job. He's been pushed off his line, and he's still managed to keep composed enough to throw for the victory.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about him for the last 10 days, blowing his tyres up every day, but you just can't say enough about this guy.
Let's blow him up a bit more.
He is that good. But what would be a little bit concerning if you were part of the Jumbo-Visma group, the greater group for lack of a better term, would you be happy seeing him putting himself in danger like this in the sprints, almost coming unstuck when he's got a really, really big job to do in the last 10 days of the bike race?
Well, I guess that's the call of the DS. That's the director's decision. He wouldn't be here if the sports director hasn't gone over the radio. You're good to gallop here.
But maybe off the back of this incident, do you think that's maybe flying a little bit too close to the sun, and that could be the end of Van Aert going for stages until maybe Paris? Not that there's that many stages on offering. Probably tonight could be a real chance of Van Aert, but he might have some team duties to do. But I don't know, if I was a director and I saw one of my key men for the mountains sprinting, I mean, coming that close to a big crash, it would be a little bit concerning for mine.
Yeah, well, even like Caleb, to use an example of a rider with only 5 teammates left, reduced team, his sprint kind of strategy's completely changed. He's using Roger Klug at 4K to go.
Well, even at 8K to go, they were so far towards the front on that little downhill, the twisting road. They clearly had a plan just to stay out of trouble for as long as possible, and then Caleb will be able to do the rest in the last K. And that's actually a good point you bring up. I think Klug and Jasper de Bois were superb in the last 10K today.
Yeah, but instead of them being at the front at 1K to go, it's pretty different. But then at the same time, you get like you're potentially giving up Tour de France stage victories. It's not like Wood's kind of hanging on for 6th. Like he's winning stages.
Of course,
it's pretty hard to say no to that.
There's some big upside to him going for some sprints because he's clearly shown that he's one of the quickest guys there. And is that the first time that he's gone up against Bennett and Ewan? Or was Bennett there one of the stages he won? I can't remember.
The stage he won with a real tricky finish, Bennett was there, Caleb wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. If you're Jumbo supermarkets and you're used to seeing your man on winning stages and he's all of a sudden sitting back in the bunch kicks for the overall, I don't know. But it does make a big point. Like if things get grippy in the last week, Bernau's got all his bros there, and he's got greater team support, which is unlikely based off what we've seen. But still, it could put Roglic in a little bit of a tricky position.
Yeah. Anyway, we got our tips right last night, just quietly.
Yeah, finally, because it was such a lottery. Let's get tonight right, and then we can start bragging about our tips.
But it felt like Caleb, he knew that he had cocked up a little bit on the previous stage going too late, and it almost happened again. I thought he might have left it a little bit too late, but with the slight uphill, you can afford to leave it to the last minute. But it just felt like he was going to learn from that mistake, and he did. It took his fifth Tour de France stage win. That's it's starting to get up there. 5 Tour de France stage wins. That's a genuine Palmares.
I think too, like one stage, like that's a tick, Tour de France tick, but like 2 stages, potentially 3 now. You think he'd be the hot favourite for the Champs-Élysées? That's an A++.
Well, yeah, from a team's perspective, you'd think one stage for Lotto Soudal would have been a pass, but I don't think they would have gone home thinking, "You beauty, we've just had an absolute field day at the Tour." But you make that 2, and all of a sudden, it just seems like if their Tour was to finish now, it would seem like a real success. 2 stage wins, I think.
Yeah,
and with the possibility of a third, a real red hot possibility.
So the question is, should Peter Sagan have been relegated, Campbell?
I think so. I think so. Just the main thing that I've looked at on that clip is just how far Van Aert got moved from right to left. I think that showed kind of how significant the contact was, and it doesn't really set a good precedent if you let him get away with that. You can just have people just going wild in the bunch with elbows and heads into one another. So I think it was the right call, especially off the back of what happened in Poland with that massive crash. You don't want to see that. So I think the right decision was made. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think the right decision was made especially because it's Wout van Aert, like one of the best bike handlers in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been interesting. Obviously, it's easy to make that call when Groeneweghen's putting someone into the barriers, and there's an outcome like there was. Obviously, there was no actual change. Well, there's potential changes in the result. It would be interesting to see how it would have panned in the sprint if he didn't have that knock.
Well, I don't think it affected Van Aert that much. He went out from so far. He was getting mowed down. But if he didn't, clearly, but if Sagan got a free run on that right-hand side, he was probably coming with the most pace. Yeah,
he was hot, which we'll touch on a little bit later, I imagine, when we talk about tonight. But yeah, I think it was the right decision. But the question I've been pondering is, where does this leave sprinting? Like, where does the art of sprinting, the hustle and bustle, I think if Peter Sagan looked at that and he had the opportunity, he'd do it again.
Yeah, like we touched on before, that it was very similar to what Caleb did. Caleb just got through with no contact on stage 4 or 5 or whatever it was. I don't remember, but
if whoever it was, if that rider on Caleb's left had to move further right, there would have been that. Like, what else can you do?
I agree. Does that mean any touching in a finale is now deemed as means to be disqualified?
What if Wout was moving right? So Peter Sagan does the exact same thing. He's the only way he can possibly get out of it and potentially save a crash too for him is if Wout van Aert's moving right and he's on his back hip. He does that same gesture. Is he DQ'd or not? Because he's not going to hit the brakes. Like we talked about, he can't hit the brakes.
Yeah. Yes, Sagan's not hitting the brakes.
Sagan, I don't think he's ever hit the brakes.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, ultimately, the rider's safety is the first thing that needs to be considered, and you don't want
Hopefully,
blokes ending up flipping into barriers in comas.
mm,
I think the first step to eliminating that is, rubbing out any sort of contact like what we saw last night in the finale.
well, the first step to that is the UCI putting in some protocols and getting proper barriers at every single race, not just the high quality ones at the Tour de France.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting. Hopefully, Caleb joins us for the next rest day. Get someone that actually knows what they're talking about's views on this.
Yeah.
Not just two blokes that have never really featured in a out and out bunch kick.
Nah, it was never really my thing.
It's far from my my field of work.
Is there a few more things to get through on this sprint?
The other thing was, what on earth were Quickstep doing off the front with a couple, like 5K to go?
I didn't mind it.
Why though?
Well,
you've got a guy that's coming off a stage victory. Why do you need? I know it's Quickstep's avenue that they always seem to have 90 different angles that they can win the bike race.
Yeah, they always like being in front of the race, don't they? They always like being on the offense.
Yeah.
I guess it just put pressure onto the other sprint teams to shut it down. I can't even remember who actually ended up closing it down. Who was it that ended up closing that down? Closing down Asgreen,
can't tell you.
And Postelberger. Anyway, it wasn't going to be Quickstep, so they just saw it as an opportunity for another team to use riders to close that down. And in the end, I don't think it really affected them too much. It was always going to be Morku and Bennett doing the sprint, so I didn't mind it going out in the front foot and being aggressive.
We just got a question from Blinken on the Facebook. He says you don't want it to be outcome based, but you don't want to deter blokes from going full throttle.
It's a mighty tricky topic, isn't it?
So tricky. Yeah.
It's really, because you don't want to see guys, I'm not going to try and thread that needle just in case I touch him, in case I get disqualified. Like, you don't want it to become like that, but we need to find some sort of medium where it can be accepted. But yeah, you definitely don't want to deter blokes from having a crack, because then we lose what a bunch sprint is all about, really.
What about, should we touch on this tweet from Quinn Simmons?
A little bit, yeah.
Quinn Simmons has retweeted. Van Aert got fined as well. I didn't even realize that.
Oh, I think he got fined for his gesture to Sagan, yeah.
So anyway, he's
which was that was a bit stiff, I thought.
That's so fluffy.
You've just been chopped up, and then passions are clearly high. Like, let's have a little bit of a feel for the situation here. Like, yeah, I didn't like that. Van Aert what did he get fined? 200
francs. That'll set you back.
Jeez, what's the point of a fine like that?
Yeah. Anyway, so Quinn Simmons. Did you say he's former champion of the world?
I think he under 19. He was a 19
2019 champion of the world.
Yeah. So he went straight from 19s to
Simmons
to the pros, which is something that's becoming a little bit more common now in your time and my time, Alaby. I don't think anyone ever went straight from 19s to World Tour.
No, that was when 19-year-olds were still kids.
Yeah.
Anyway,
go on. What did he say on the Twitter?
Quinn Simmons says on the Twitter, so he's retweeted a tweet that's got this fine and Sagan being DQ'd. He says, this sport sure does a good job of hurting itself. Sport needs to be entertaining and have action, not to punish it. Sagan showed skill and Van Aert showed some personality, nothing to punish.
the youngest bloke in the world tour just goes whack on the Twitter.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind it.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I'm not sure if is he suggesting that Sagan shouldn't have got DQ'd?
He's suggesting that Sagan shouldn't have been DQ'd and
Well, not DQ'd,
Aert
but
shouldn't have been
relegated back to the
fined.
back of the peloton.
Yeah.
Well, I agree that Van Aert shouldn't have been fined.
Yeah.
But I'm not too sure I can agree with Sagan being relegated to the back. But I don't mind him sharing his views. I really enjoy that from a rookie. Doesn't care, this guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's it. I think like a lot of younger guys on teams, you hardly hear boo from them on social for so long because you're intimidated. You're in a big squad.
A lot of towing the line as well.
Yeah. Not on Quinn's Twitter.
Quinn Simmons.
Yeah, well,
yeah. There was another tweet as well that you sent through, Albie, that we are going to touch on as well. Do you want to?
Yeah.
I'm
have you got that? I don't actually have it up.
No, you're the one doing the prep. Have it sorted.
No. Well, I sent it to you. It was from
Hofstetter. Hugo.
Hofstetter. So he's referring to.
Bring it up.
I'll just get this back up. So he's referring to. Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah. See that?
Yep.
See, his tweet says, "Hi, Peter Sagan." He's addressed an open letter to.
He's atted him as well.
Yeah. He's gone full gas here, which I also don't mind.
I don't know. Go on.
Anyway, he's high at Peter Sagan. I never use Twitter, but with all respect that I have for you, if I don't break in this moment, me and maybe some other guys are in hospital now. I'm very disappointed. And he sent a screenshot of pretty much this shot here. He's talking about breaking right now.
Is he just now? I think it's a little bit further on.
Oh, sorry.
Roll the tape.
You ready? There. He's on the brakes.
For me, that is something you see in a bunch sprint like every single time. It was just Sagan's handlebars were in front of him. That gives you essentially
right of way.
Not as hard and as fast as what I've just described it as, but you look at any bunch sprint, that is happening. There's no malice from Sagan in this incident here at all. I don't think. I don't think Hofstadter's really got a leg to stand on. Of course, what he said is probably correct. If he doesn't hit the brakes, he probably causes a crash. But there is no fault of Peter Sagan in this situation.
No, there's fault on his position in the bunch.
There's fault on his position in the bunch and his decision-making at the important time. And we talked to Caleb in our podcast on the rest day about how much is going through your head and the split-second decisions that's going on in a bunch sprint. And if you rewind the tape a little bit, Alex, I think not that Caleb's an old guy, but he's got the experience here. Hofstetter, he's on the right-hand side of the wheel and he's always going to go right. And that right-hand side is completely blocked up, really.
That's a traffic jam over there.
It's a traffic jam over there. Sagan gets through illegally. But if you see Caleb, I think he's next to Hofstetter or behind him, and he chooses to back out a little bit and takes the left-hand side, which opens up in a big way.
Yeah.
Just roll it a little bit.
Well, you look at what Ryan Gibbons and Mezgec have got to deal with here. They've got 2 lanes versus 6 guys are fighting for a bike path over here.
Yeah.
Just gets squeezed in there.
Stuck down that inside where there's just no space. Here comes Caleb on the left-hand side of Bennett, and it all just opens up for him. Obviously, this is all happening within seconds. But, I'm not too sure whether that tweet I agree with it. Yes, I agree with the fact that people would have been in hospital, but it kind of seems like he's angling that you chop me up like you're the worst bloke ever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my opinion.
Sounds good.
Has he actually tweeted before, Hofstadter, or is he literally just used it for the first time to go after Sagan?
Yeah. My Twitter's just having some issues. He's done. He hasn't really tweeted. He's a retweeter.
Yeah, okay. Well, he never uses it, apparently.
Well, it depends what you define as use. He doesn't use the buttons. He just hits retweet on things, which he's tagged in. Not today, though.
I don't think Sagan's going to lose too much sleep over that tweet.
I don't think Sagan will even probably get to that tweet.
Dear.
On to tonight.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair bit of time. Actually, we were actually a little bit bogged down on that.
We've got awfully. We defined these as 5 to 10 minutes each day. Stage 1 and 2, and then we just eked out to now we're just doing 30-minute
unpacks,
and we haven't even got to the preview.
I don't even care.
Tonight, Campbell.
Bring it up. Can you bring up that profile for us?
Yeah, I'll just get it up.
Loving this platform.
Whew. Look at that.
Do you have to credit Pro Cycling Stats? You see them go after people on Twitter.
Do they?
Not giving them credit. Yeah, they go after Sporza. A couple of times I've seen them tweet.
Well, this is Pro Cycling Stats, and we are huge fans of Pro Cycling Stats because life would be so difficult without it.
Yeah,
ProCyclingStats.com if you want to check it out.
Full credit to them. We take no credit.
We take no credit. This is their platform, and it's really good. So,
yeah,
it's pretty lumpy.
It's a really interesting stage, isn't it? Just looking at the profile, a pretty flat start. You'd think that people will want to have that kept together. People being Bora for that intermediate sprint after. Can't quite see on your screen there. Was it
50K? Yeah. You see these kind of profiles though, and like you never know what like this is. This stuff.
It's a bit of a shark tooth kind of profile, isn't it? All day it looks to be rolling. But I mean, there's a number of different ways this could pan out. It could just be the early break, random early break, and then there's a little bit of who's going to chase. No, you chase. No, you chase, and then no one ends up chasing because it's that kind of finish where no one really knows who it's going to suit.
And riders could be isolated.
Yeah. Or we might see a little bit of a late move go on the Cat 3 or the Cat 2 later in the piece. Or Bora, CCC might collab to keep it together for a very reduced bunch sprint. I'm talking maybe 70, 80 guys for the likes of Sagan and GVA and Trenton. So it's a really exciting stage, I think, and there's a number of ways it could pan out.
I'm not going to claim credit for this, but I really like your tip you sent through this morning of Peter Sagan.
Yeah, that's
furious after yesterday.
Yeah.
And he was moving yesterday. He was going good yesterday. It wasn't like those first couple of sprints were like, oh, geez, a bit off there.
Like I said earlier, he was coming hot. He was coming real hot. He's going to be super pissed off. He's going to be super pissed off, not only about not winning, but getting relegated, losing all these green jersey points, yet to win a stage. So today, wherever you are, I'm going to go with Sagan. I think the whole Bora team will be super motivated. It's a long day though, 217k. It's a really long day to keep it together. But I feel like if they talk about it, they might be able to get a little bit of help from some other teams. Looking at CCC to do something, GVA and Trentin. It's a good finish for them.
Yeah. But that's my concern about CCC. It's a good finish for them. And we've just got a comment too. Does GVA have a chance today? Yes, he does.
Yeah,
but will he be beaten by his teammate though?
Well, you can guarantee that they'll be sprinting against each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I feel like they'll both be there. Although that Cat 2 with 30 odd K to go.
Yeah, Cat
30 odd K to go.
Tops out at 192 and it's a 212 stage.
Yeah. I got 218 here.
What you got? 218, 212. Actually, sorry. 212 is the final kind of climb. It's uncategorized.
Yeah.
218, yeah.
But that last Cat 2, that last categorized climb of the day, 3.8k at 7.7%. That's significant.
That's also,
genuine launching pad.
Just like this whole sector here is just going to be an absolute nightmare to manage. There's not going to be many guys left. There's so many opportunities to go on the hunt.
What are you talking about? That Cat 3, Cat 2, just open
that
season.
Cat 2, this thing here, this one here, like there's just it's could be one of the most difficult days. It could be so hard. It will be hard no matter what. But I just think a group of 3 or 4 to go to the finish off of any of this. I don't know where. I think there'll be guys trying to go long range from here. If that doesn't stick, they'll be going halfway up the climb. If that doesn't stick, they'll be going on the next climb and they'll be going the whole way to the finish.
Yeah. You know who else comes into the equation here big time this afternoon, this evening? Julian Ellis, big time sort of stage. That Cat 2, nice little distance, a little bit of downhill as well to stretch out the advantage. And then it's about 15k home off the bottom of that. So it's unlikely that there's going to be a lot of numbers there for teams to get organised and create a meaningful chase. So, I mean, there's a number of different guys that can win, but I'm still going to go Sagan, but expect to see Alaphilippe and GVA. Maybe with Senko again on that last climb, but it's going to be exciting, that's for sure.
I'm going to go GVA from a small group, like a really small group.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go Sagan from, I said 70 before, but looking at it now, I think it won't be that many, maybe 40 or 50.
Yeah.
No one knows.
Yeah.
Don't think. Are we completely writing off the Caleb Ewan and Sam Bennett type operator tonight?
I think so. Well, I think you can look at that from that example where Bora rode all day. That stage, Sagan was just sitting pretty. We haven't talked about Wood Van Aert either. What is?
I mean, if he gets free rein,
sure,
he'll be up and amongst it. Maybe he won't have the free rein to go with the moves on the last Cat 2, but if it comes all back together for a sprint,
he'll probably be bringing it back together too.
Yeah, he'll be the one welding it back together and then sprinting as well.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, should be a good stage. Anyway, Sagan for me and GVA for you. Roger.
Sounds good. Roger. Oh, and I got a real smoky too.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Richard Carapaz. Starting to come good.
I mind it.
Loves a tricky finish and pretty quick.
Yep. I don't mind that at all.
He's just going to go, Egan, I'm going to be working for you for the next 2 weeks. Just give me a little bit.
Jake Matthews
just says, yeah.
Yeah, we touched on him earlier. I think so. He'll be racing his teammate GVA.
And I think that's why he's going to lose, because GVA is better. All right. Thanks to everyone for listening in. Thanks, Campbell.
Thanks, Alex. 40 minutes.
40 minutes. If you haven't already, check out the podcast we did with Caleb Ewan on the rest day. Give some good analysis into what it's like being at the top of Lotto Sudal, being at the top of a team, winning bunch kicks. He's got it all. So, yeah. Alrighty.
Cool.
Chat to you tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Bye.